So welcome everybody. I'm so happy to be here again on another session. And today I'm going to be talking about improving your memory with Healy and with frequencies in general. And this is such a huge topic, and it's also very, very interesting because it's not just about, our memory as we get older starts to reduce, but there are ways that we can improve our memory all the time, every single day, especially with some of these Healy programs. So I've put together a little presentation to explain about the brain and about how the brain works. And it's funny because the other day we were doing a session on charging your water with Healy. And on that session, it was about how water holds memory. And if you haven't seen that session yet, I really recommend it because it's kind of mind-blowing how the kind of research we've found out in the last so many years, like the last 50 years or so, around water and memory. And actually there are now talks that memory is stored in the water in our bodies. So that's really, really interesting because what we're going to talk today is about the brain waves. And I still have to do a little bit more research about how water in the body and how water stored and memory stored in the water in the body, how that actually works with brain waves. And we're going to do a little bit of talking about that. I'm not an expert I'm not a scientist, but I'm just sharing the knowledge that I know and that I found out and how I use the Healy. And you can take from it what you like. And if you have any questions or anything you want to add to this, you can unmute yourself or you can pop something in the chat box. And I would be really happy to hear your view and your insights on it as well. So I'm just going to share. Okay. There, great. Perfect. So now you should see my screen. As always, I have always prepared a little bit. I like a presentation because I know a lot of people are very visual. So I am also very visual. So I like to see something when I'm learning something. So first of all, there are new studies that reveal how brain waves control working memory, right? So putting aside the whole idea that that memory is stored in water, we're going to look at how memory is moving around the body and how it moves through the body, so we can get a little bit more of an insight how we actually work and how our memory works, so that then we understand how it works around the body and in the mind, and then we can understand how we can improve it with the Healy programs. So brain rhythms act as a gate for information entering and leaving the mind. So there are different brain rhythms, and some of you will have heard of these before, and we're going to go through some of them so that we can understand them in an easy way and a simple way. So the brain is made of millions of neurons, and their patterns of electrical activity are called brain waves. Brain waves are like waves at the beach. They can be big or small, and fast or slow. And the speed of brain waves is called frequency. So we get to know a little bit of science around Healy here as well, which I quite like. So the basic unit of measuring for frequency, or how many times a signal or a wave happens, is measured in a unit called hertz. And we will know around hertz because that's what we are sending frequencies into our bodies in a hertz. Okay, every time we look at our Healys and it's changing frequency every 10 seconds, it will always be a different hertz. So hertz tells us how many times the brain waves happen in 1 second. So if you've got, say, 10,000, then that's happening in 1 second. That's how many little bumps there are. And if it's 10, then there's just 10, and they're not so many. Okay, they're more further apart. To make it easier, brainwaves are usually referred to by names. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some of these different names that we know. So we're going to start off with, so they're identified by electrical patterns they make and their frequency. Each type indicates a different state, from the dreamy, relaxed delta state to the snappy, active beta waves. Okay, so we're going to just go through these. So let's start with delta. So delta brainwaves are the lowest frequencies that we have, the lowest frequency brainwaves. They are less than 4 hertz, and these occur in deep sleep. So this is not the dreaming state, okay? It's the deep sleep, the bit that we don't remember. It is like the dominant rhythm in infants up to 1 year of age, which is really interesting. And it is present in stages 3 and 4 of sleep. So actually, like, a baby is mostly in this delta brainwave when they're growing at the first year. So they don't remember it. They won't remember any of it. Delta is the place where actually it reduces memory in this state. Okay, so it tends to be the highest in amplitude and the slowest waves. We increase delta waves in order to decrease our awareness of the physical world. Okay, but we also access information in our unconscious mind through delta. So actually, delta is a place to work on our unconscious memory. And I think that's really interesting, because I think we can use that to our benefit if we wanted to run like perhaps a program during the night, or maybe there's a way that we could just run some of the information resonance frequencies during the night for a few hours, maybe for 4 hours, so that we're actually working on our unconscious mind in that state. So I think that if you want to write some notes around that, there could be some great opportunity to work on the unconscious. So any patterns that you know that are unconscious, that are there, that you can't change, and it keeps coming back and coming back, this could be a good place to start by working on the delta brainwaves. Or maybe you could get someone else as well to run a frequency program for you during the night, like someone to come in and put it on for you with the coil just after you've gone to sleep. It's also another possibility if you want to actually do an actual program. So we're going to now look at the theta brainwaves. So this is the next one up. So this is after delta, we go into theta, okay? And these occur when you're relaxing or sleeping or dreaming. So as your dreams become more focused and energetic, your brainwaves turn from resting delta to the more active theta. So actually, they say that this state is where we actually can improve our memory, in this state here. And it's actually also where we meditate, in this theta brainwave state. So that's why meditation is like so important for us in general, because some of you may realize that when you're meditating, you just suddenly things pop into your mind, things you may have forgotten, or you might get like downloads of information, because this is where you really open your mind to receive, and you're quite close to the unconscious. So you're able to tap into the bit where maybe you've forgotten something, or you've blocked it out for whatever reason. So we're going to be looking at like all different programs for these different states anyway, but we're going to just have a think about, like, when are you in the theta brainwave? Are you in it often? Are you doing it consciously, or are you doing it unconsciously during sleep? And we can work on dreaming states as well. Some more people in. We can also look at how we can improve the theta brainwave state, and there's a lot of studies actually that say that this is where we this is really where we can improve our memory. So the more that we're in the theta brainwave state, the better, if you want to improve your memory. And I used to actually meditate a lot. I used to do like really a lot of active meditations with the Osho Center in Berlin. And if anyone knows Osho dynamic meditation, it's like active, very, very active. And you get very active for the first 30 minutes of it, like to the point of being really like as active as you possibly can, until it says stop. And the moment it says stop, you just stop for 15 minutes in whatever state that you're in. And literally you are then going into the state where you're I'd be launched into meditation. So you'd be really active, active. And then suddenly you go into the theta brainwave state and you get launched into it. And that's where you can really access memory, and memory which perhaps that you may have forgotten a long time ago. Maybe you'll get like memories from childhood coming up, and things that you don't know where it's come from. It just comes in. And especially if you've been working on emotional release or catharsis, and releasing any emotional blocks that you may have built up over the years through different things that have happened to you, through trauma, through just building walls, basically. And if we go back to water and how I was talking about how memory is stored in water in the body, they talk about massage. When you have a massage, you may have a memory that pops up when you're being massaged. And because they say it's held in the fascia layers in the body. So again, you're going to be in the theta brainwave state if you're going into massage, because you're going to be relaxing. So it's about like really letting the body go. So I think that spending more time in this state will be very good for memory. And that's why when you do a Healy program, it's really good to be in the theta brainwave state, because your body's going to remember the frequency that you're putting into the body easier. And it will work in a much more intense way, and you will heal faster if you are in this state, because your body is more open to receiving it. All right, so we're not just saying, sit down and receive the frequencies for nothing. This is actually proven that the theta brainwave state is the place to be doing your frequency work. So the alpha brainwave is the next state. I quite like this one, the alpha brainwave state. So this is where you're awake and alert, but you're doing restful, thoughtful activity. This could be reading, it could be praying, it could just be relaxing, but you are in an awake state. So if you read before bed, for example, that's like an alpha brainwave state. You might want to maintain a journal. That's an alpha brainwave state. Or doing any other activities that wind down from the day, okay, just before sleeping. The alpha waves are between 8 and 12 hertz. And alpha appears to be the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious, okay? So this is a really interesting state, and I really like this state because I actually do most of my work before bed. Like, it's a bit crazy, but I really love to. I actually get a lot more inspiration just before bed. And so I'll read a book and I'll make notes, and I'll be really getting clear with what I want to do in a session, or whether if I force myself to go into the next state, which we're going to talk about, sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes I'll go and I'll get, right, I need to do this during the day. And I'll sit there and I won't be in the right brainwave state to be able to do the concentration work that I want to do. And that's okay. And it's just, you've got to realize like what brainwave state that you're in when you go and do your work. So if you find that you prefer to do your work in the morning because you're more in the alpha brainwave state, maybe you're quite, you're alert and awake, but you're not fully on yet, then you might want to do your work then and you're more inspired, whether some people prefer it before bed. And I think the alpha brainwave state, a lot of night owls are like this state. So the alpha rhythms are reported to be derived from the white matter of the brain. So I wanted to put this in because I think it's really interesting. So alpha rhythms are reported to be from the white matter of the brain. The white matter can be considered the part of the brain that connects all parts with each other. So white matter is really interesting. So when your alpha is within normal ranges, we also tend to experience good mood, and we see the world truthfully, and we have a sense of calmness. So alpha is one of the brain's most important frequencies to learn and to use information taught in the classroom and on the job. So you can increase alpha by closing your eyes or deep breathing, or decrease alpha by thinking or calculating. Okay, so alpha is really, I think it's the integration period where you've learned loads of information and it's like, you've calculated it and you've analyzed it. then you close your eyes, or you go and do some yoga, or you go into the body, and you can really integrate it into the body. And this is really interesting, because this is why when you go and learn something, that we should take a break, because the break is going into alpha, and the alpha is actually where you really improve the memory, improve how you learn, and bring that into your body fully. So when you go and do something, or you want to learn from this from this session today, meditation, it's a bit like a meditation. If you want to learn from this session today, after this session, go and do something for you, like go and do like some stretching, or go and make a cup of tea, and just let go of thinking, and just see what the information that you've taken into your brain in this hour, where it goes, because actually that's the point of learning. And this is why I wanted to do this today, because I wanted to really just like go through like how the brain works. So let's move on. So the beta brainwaves are actually like now, okay? So experiencing beta brainwaves during most of your waking hours, when you're working, thinking, doing homework, or hobbies that require active attention. So they're fast brainwaves with a frequency of 12 to 16 hertz, which are commonly associated with being awake and conscious. So beta brainwaves are learning, you know, really like thinking, doing, constantly in the doing, okay? But not necessarily the learning. It's always just on, whether the alpha is where we do the learning. So then there's gamma brain waves. So this is another one. This is not talked about as much as the others. So this is actually subjective feeling states, thinking, integrated thoughts, associated tasks and behaviors, and high-level information processing or binding. So gamma is measured between 30 and 44 hertz, and it's the only frequency group found in every part of the brain. So a good memory is associated with a well-regulated and efficient 40 hertz activity, whereas 40 hertz deficiency creates learning disabilities. So this is also interesting for anyone that has any learning disabilities around increasing the gamma brain waves in the brain. Now, we're going to go into some programs that are going to help some of these possibilities. So you'll be able to potentially, with some of the learning programs we're going to talk about, be able to increase the gamma brain waves, because whatever your body needs, it's going to receive the frequencies from the individualized microcurrents from the Healy. So it'll be able to know which ones you're missing. And if you are missing any gamma brain waves, then for sure you're going to be getting some of these by doing some of the programs on Healy. So brainwaves and neurofeedback. So let's look at this. So when you're trying to focus or perform tasks, but you feel tired, fatigued, and foggy, it could be because you're experiencing the wrong kind of brainwaves for the task at hand. So I talked about this a bit earlier. If you're in the wrong, if you go and sit down to do what you need to do, and you can't do it, and you're getting distracted, or you feel tired, or you're like, oh, I can't do this, it's probably better that you don't, because you're probably not in the right brainwave state. So it's better just to leave it and do it later at a different time. So ideally, when you're thinking, studying, or working, you should be experiencing the measurable beta brainwaves. So if you are instead experiencing theta or alpha waves, your brain may need to be redirected or retrained, resulting in better focus. And there are ways through entrainment that you can actually increase your brain waves in different states. I'm not sure if I put it all in here, a little bit here. So the rhythmic patterns of the brain activity can be changed through a process known as entrainment. So entrainment, it guides the brain gently and safely into a specific brainwave pattern. And this is like getting a musical band to play together at a faster or slower speed, or like tuning into a specific radio station. So say, for example, you aren't in the right brainwave state to do what you want to do, but you don't have a choice. Like say you've got a driving test and you're in the wrong brainwave state, then Healy can really help you get back into the brainwave state that you need to be in during that, which is some of the exam programs are good for that. So Studies have shown that the theta brainwaves happen just before a person remembers something correctly, which is interesting. So this was surprising and exciting to scientists because it meant that could be possible to improve a person's memory by changing the brain activity happening right before remembering. So could boosting theta waves actually improve what people remember? So that's a really interesting thing to go and do a little bit of extra research on after this, because there are so many different ways we can increase our memory. And that's why theta is really important. Doing meditation, like I said earlier, is to really start bringing ritual into your practice. It's something that I'm starting to bring into all of my practices, is bringing meditation into your practice, because it will help your body to remember the frequencies that you're putting into your body. Okay, and why not? You get a 15-minute session to improve your memory and improve your body memory. So the glymphatic system, so this is where we're going to start, right? We're going to look at detoxing the brain. So I'm reading this great study at the moment, which is about the empty cup, and it's about the beginner's mind and about emergent theory. So what that is, it's about emptying the brain, emptying the mind, so that we can actually have space to be creative. So if you imagine an empty cup, and this is an old myth, that like a story that a Japanese man told. It's called a koan, and he told the story of he had like a professor come to visit him, and the professor came and sat down, and the Japanese man, he started to pour him a tea, and as he poured the tea, he just kept pouring, and in the end the water was pouring over the top of the glass, over the top of the cup, and the professor was like, it's full, it's full. And the Japanese man said, well, this is how you are. You're overflowing with opinions, overflowing with all of this information, but this way you cannot actually receive anything new. You can't be creative. You can't receive anything new because you're already overflowing. Your cup is overflowing with information. So how are you going to be able to remember if you're already constantly bringing new things into your cup and are overflowing with information, insights? So, excuse me, a glass of water. So perhaps a really great way is to empty our cup before we start to take anything new in on a daily basis, which can happen in meditation. We can empty our cup. We can stop, because unless we stop and stop the mind, how are we ever going to start to work on our memory and finding space to have memory? Okay, so I'm talking about detoxing the brain because we need to let go of some of the toxins that are in our brain and in our bodies to be able to receive better memories. So the glymphatic system is also known as the glymphatic clearance pathway, which I quite like the name of. And the glymphatic system, it removes harmful waste located in the central nervous system. And it also helps distribute glucose, amino acids, lipids, neurotransmitters, and glucose in the brain. So the majority of these actions are performed when a person sleeps. And the glymphatic system is inactive when a person is awake. So this is happening when you're sleeping. So if you're not sleeping well, then you're not detoxing the brain as well as it should be. So when a person sleeps, many harmful toxins and waste are removed from the brain via the glymphatic system. So getting adequate sleep could help alleviate many health issues, such as poor memory, brain fog, and decrease the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. So in addition to getting adequate sleep, other ways to detox the brain, including getting exercise. It's a huge one. Eating nutrient-dense foods and limiting toxins exposure. So it's not just about getting the right frequencies with the Healy, and that's what I'm getting at. And I always say this on all my sessions, that Healy is only a tool to support what we're already doing in our lives. It does not replace everything else that we're doing. It supports us. So let's use it as a support, and let's give our bodies a break from any toxins, anything that we're putting into our bodies. Let's have some mindfulness around the food that we eat, the exercise that we're doing, because when we do that with Healy, we are on fire. We are really clear. And I know this because last year I did a detox, a physical detox, and I could feel the frequencies so strong, and it was so clear, and my memory got better. Everything was better. I felt so alive. And this is what we want. This is where we want to be. Okay, we want to be teaming up, giving our bodies good water and eating good food and limiting the toxins. So here are some programs for detoxing the brain. So you can write some of these down. So I've started off with just the cleaning of the brain first before we go into working on memory. So if you are going to start by getting improving your memory with Healy, what I would recommend is to start with these programs for the first week. So you could maybe do like a 21-day challenge and start with the first week with this. So you'll be lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is energetic regulation of the lymphatic system, which is responsible for the transport of toxins and helps us to rid the body of unwanted materials, and it also helps to fight infection. So that's really good, just to let go of any toxins that we've got held in the body. And this is also working on emotional toxins, because a lot of the time, and some of you will know this, that we block things out when something terrible has happened to us, or something very emotionally toxic, or something that we don't want to go back to. Maybe something happened to you as a child and you don't want to go back and remember it. So, there's lots of people that block things out and you'll never remember it ever. Okay. And it's a hidden, locked away memory, which actually is blocking the rest of your life to move forward. So it's really good if we can detox our system and our emotional memory a little bit with some of these. Okay, so we've got toxins in there as well. So this is bioenergetic stimulation of the body's excretory processes in the removal of toxins and toxic debris from the body and the energetic field. Then we've got nerves. So this is really helping with the nervous system. So bioenergetic regulation of the nervous system, harmonization to promote relaxation. The nerve cells and the neurons carry information throughout the body. They can send long-range cellular communication, which is very important to overall health. So if anything, this one is great, okay, because it's really working on the neurons. And then clean all. So energetic detoxification of several metabolic systems, such as the kidneys, lungs, liver, digestion, lymphatic system, and circulatory systems. Okay, so we could do liver, we could do all of these separately, like kidneys and digestion and lungs, but we're not going to. I mean, it's just a lot of programs and you'll get overwhelmed. So if you do clean all from the deep cycle program, it should clean all of those systems as one, and then you can work on some of the other programs as well. So there's 4 programs here. I know that Healy only suggests to do 3 a day, so maybe just pick 3 of them and then do them for the week. Or you might want to do, for example, start off with clean all toxins and the lymphatic system for 4 or 5 days, and then start with the nerve program so that you're doing just the cleaning in the beginning. And you might want to do nerves every day for 3 weeks, but you'll really have to choose what's right for you and do a protocol for you. Which feels good. All right, so just make a note of these. And I can help to create protocols. So if you feel like you need help with creating something for your memory, then I'm happy to do a session with you privately if that's something that you'd like to do. So let's look at sleep, because we talked about sleep and how in the sleep state is that actually where we can really improve memory too. So fine flow, it's coming up a lot at the moment. So when I was doing the Charge Your Water with Healy program, the fine flow came up actually for parasites and for detoxing and for letting things flow outside the body. And this is actually like on the Heal Advisor app. It's coming up a lot there. So I really like this for this session too. So the bioenergetic activation through the ionic movement in the body. Ions are charged particles that send electrical signals through the body. The fine flow frequencies support the movement of the charged particles, which helps to regulate neuronal communication, neurotransmitter and hormone release that support healthy sleep states. So fine flow is a really good one, and it's only 20 minutes. So you could bring this into your daily ritual and do a fine flow session for yourself every evening before you go to sleep. So just 20 minutes meditation. You might want to do it in the mornings if that's where you like to do it. It's not going to make you fall asleep straight away, but it's going to help your body to move the electrical signals around and to increase that electrical charge in your ions in the body so that you can sleep better at night and then in turn improve your memory. Then we've got balanced sleep. So balanced sleep helps with bioenergetic balancing in the deep sleep phase. So this is very important that we go into deep sleep so that we can detox our brains. Okay. And if we don't go into that deep sleep phase, then the brain cannot detoxify itself properly, which then helps us and it decreases our ways that we can store memories in the body. So memory is like muscular strength. So basically, it's like if you can either use it or lose it. This is something that I was reading about. So the more you work out your brain, the better you'll be able to process and remember information. So it's like going to do fitness, right? For the body, you do it also for the brain. So the best brain exercises is all about breaking your routine and challenging the way you use and develop new brain pathways. So going out of your comfort zone is a really good way to improve memory. So if some of you don't like going outside your comfort zone, it could be a new task or a new challenge for you to do things that are outside your comfort zone, to push your brain and to push your body and limits so that you're able to increase the neural pathways, okay, and to develop new brain pathways. So I've put some programs in here that can help with that. So perhaps after your first week of detoxifying the brain, you could move on to doing some of these programs. So we've got the first one, which is memory. So, you know, this is the one that actually comes at the very top when you look in the Heal Advisor app, which tells you which programs to do for different things. This is a really good one. So energetic stimulation of the brain metabolism and supports knowledge retention. It refers to the way that the brain circulates glucose and oxygen supplies to the neurons, the nerve cells that carry valuable information, creating important neural nets where information can be stored and then later retrieved, right? So this is what we really want to get better memory. So that's why I said first, let's work with detoxifying the brain so we've got space to be able to retain the information and it's clear and it's clean. If you imagine that you are, let's just think of an analogy here. If you're like going and making your dinner and then you're not cleaning your plate every time, your plate's going to be pretty dirty, right? And then your food that you're putting on the plate is not going to be very nice. You're probably going to get like some bacteria and it's going to make the food that you put on the plate, the fresh food every time, it's going to distort that and it's going to be not very nice, okay? And you're going to get sick. So imagine that's your memory, right? If you're not cleaning your memory very often and your brain, how can you get new information to come in and be clear? So looking at the next program, which helps with retaining information, concentration systemic. So again, it's one of the learning programs. Bioenergetic optimization of the oxygen supply. This ultimately assists with higher states of concentration, and this program focuses on frequencies that work at the systemic level. So again, we're looking at how we can improve the oxygen supply in our cells. So if you imagine, if you're not doing any exercise or you're not going outside very often, how are you going to improve your memory? Because again, when you go for a walk, you're taking more oxygen into the body because we're raising our breath, we're getting more, our heart rate is raising and we're taking in more oxygen. And that's why exercise is really good for improving your memory as well. So going for a walk, if you want, whilst doing one of these programs would be very nice as well. And then I've put in activation. So activation is the bioenergetic stimulation of mental clarity when wanting to perform at the top of your game. So that's really activating the brain and getting it and running it, okay, so that you're really feeling clear. And then the mental balance acute supports the mental balance and positive thinking via cranial stimulation. So mental balance acute is usually done with the ear clips, but I know that not all countries allow the ear clips. So, doing it with the wristbands or with the pads is a great one to do mental balance acute. This one helped me a lot. When I first started using Healy, actually, it really, all of my blocks dissolved. And really what may have been happening is maybe my brain was detoxifying and letting go of old stuff that was blocking the chance for me to bring new information in. So there's lots of reasons to use these programs, but I would say that these are good to be used for the beta state or even the alpha state, so that we're able to retain. But you can also do this in the theta, because theta is where we can go into meditation or relaxation, and then it's also proven that we retain the information in that state. So these will really help activate the beta state of your working and awake life, so you can really think clearly. I will look at that message in just a second. So stress is one of the brain's worst enemies. Don't we know it? Over time, chronic stress destroys brain cells and damages the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is actually something that is found just behind the ear. The region of the brain involved in the formation of new memories and the retrieval of old ones. So studies have linked stress to memory loss. So this makes a lot of sense for me, because actually the hippocampus stores the short-term memories, and this stress destroys the brain cells in there, right? So this is proven. So this is why we have to decrease stress to be able to improve memory. So potentially on the next week, so this could be the third week, but actually I've got another set of Healy programs. So you might want to do 4 weeks, because why not, right? Do a 4-week challenge. So on the third week, you could do some of these ones. So learning systemic. So this is bioenergetic activation of the CNS, so the central nervous system, of the ability to learn and retain learning. This program is used where the person has been challenged for a long period of time and finds the ability to learn and retain information to be a core issue, right? So this will help there. Then these ones are exam systemic, so relaxation support. It says before exams, but it's not just before exams. I mean, that's very specific. This is for relaxation support before having to remember something in a stressful situation is what should really be written there. And this happens through cranial stimulation. And these frequencies focus on systemic energy balance that support calm and mental states for exams. So for anything that's high stress, that supports the relaxation, which then in turn means that you can learn easier, and potentially it's bringing you into that more relaxed brainwave state so that you can retain the information and keep it clear. And so you're not getting stressed, which then can block out those, your nervous system can then be affected by that to retain the information that you need to retain, or to remember and to recall the information that you need to recall on. So the stress acute supports mood improvement via cranial stimulation. And this program delivers frequencies that support a relaxed state of learning. And then we've got learning programs. So this is stress systemic, mental balancing and bioenergetic stimulation of creative power. And this program addresses deep-rooted stress states around learning. So again, if you feel like stress, if you've got a lot of stress in your life, or things are coming up where you're in a really high intensity environment, and that's causing you to forget things, or you really need to remember more things or be more clear, then these programs are really good for you in those cases. Okay, and then I've added these in as well. So inner strength systemic. So inner strength systemic, it promotes self-confidence when you're feeling uncertain, insecure, or anxious. And I put these ones in because sometimes when we're stressed and we're not able to work at the best of our abilities, and our brain's not working properly, and we're struggling to learn or just to be clear and to not have any brain fog. Some of the reasons could be emotional. So I've added some of these mental balance programs in as well. So if you feel more drawn to some of these to help to calm your state down, then I would recommend, you know, some of these too. We've got Pure Calm, which is a deep cycle program. And this energetically contributes to inner peace, emotional and spiritual balance, energetic muscle relaxation. And these frequencies are also intended to support the non-physical aspects of life. Okay, so anything that's not physical, which can be spiritual, emotional, mental. And then we've got inner unity. So inner unity restores the sense of psychic wholeness and awareness. So sometimes you may be wanting to improve your psychic awareness, and in turn be more intuitive, because improving our brains and our minds can also be about improving our psychic awareness and seeing and feeling that we're all connected as one, as a whole. And I wanted to add this in too, because you could go on the next level up and start to work on that as well. So, you know, if you wanted to do a protocol for, I don't know, 6 weeks, you could really work on a weekly basis, something different. So you could do, you know, like detoxifying your brain, and then working on stress levels, and then working on the activation of your memory and really bringing that up so you're really clear. And then you might want to work on some of the psychic awareness as well, that you can bring in, some of the emotional challenges that you're having that could be blocking the memory, your short-term memory or your long-term memory. And then this is the last part that I'm going to explain to you. So the research that I've been reading about shows that having meaningful friendships and a support system are vital, not only to emotional health, but to also to brain health. So this is proven. So if you are not taking care to go and meet up with friends, or if you don't feel like you have a strong support system, then it can really affect your memory and your brain health. So this is why, like, when old people go into homes and they really are on their own, or that they start to get dementia, because they don't have such a support system anymore. You know, they're in this place, maybe they're not getting as much connection as they should. Old people in general, it doesn't have to be in a home, it can be just in their own home on their own. You know, they're not having this support system that actually is very, very important. So one of the studies that I was reading is from Harvard School of Public Health, and they found that people with the most active social lives had the slowest rate of memory decline. So go and get social. Make it part of your ritual that you meet up with friends once a week, or you, even if you don't meet up with them, like connect with them on the phone, connect with them on a Zoom, connect and get a better social life to improve your memory. So I've added some programs in here that can also support your feeling of well-being. So emotional well-being is for balancing when you feel emotionally blocked. So I was saying earlier about how sometimes the long-term memory is blocked because something may have happened to us in the past. So maybe you would like to work on that, and you can use some of these programs. We've got well-being soul. So this is for energetic balancing of compulsive or obsessive behavior. And these frequencies help move awareness away from obsession towards finding harmony and fulfillment from within. So maybe, you find those people that are really stuck on stories that have happened to them in the past, and maybe find it hard to move on, and maybe this could help those to really let go of something that's happened, to be able to move into the new. I've also put release in here because release is so good for so many things. And this is for the causes of pain or disease, illness, injury, environmental toxins, and even emotional trauma. It can cause a lot of pain in the body. So the brain and the central nervous system, they learn to continue to put the body into a chronic painful state, which repeats this pain cycle, which I was just talking about, being in this cycle, the loop, going round and around, which is why we end up in these patterns going around and around. And we might create a new situation, and then it's the same at the end, it's the same lesson, and we're not moving through it. So the release program helps us to release that. And most of the time it can be these thought patterns that these neural pathways that we've learned, the more you have a thought pattern. So those people that are very negative that you might meet, they have this same constant negative talk, self-talk, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, nobody likes me. Oh, I'm feeling depressed. I'm so sad. They say all these things to themselves all the time, over and over and over and over again. And that you actually strengthen the neural pathways in the brain, which is why we end up in these loops. And sometimes we've created such a strong loop in our nervous system, in our neural brain pathway, that it's hard to break the loop. So the release program is really good to release that loop, and to start to create new pathways by going out of your comfort zone, for example, and doing something new, and to find new other pathways that can help with that. So this program helps balancing the frequencies in the bioenergetic field of the body, no matter where the pain is, to release the pain at its source. Okay, and then I finally put in free flow. So free flow is another great one, and this supplies the oxygen onto the cells. It supports the heart and circulation, and it promotes muscle relaxation. So again, bringing this free flow back into our lives, where we can relax and allow the healing to take place in the relaxed state and not in the beta state, because it's not going to go in. It won't go in. You'll learn it, but you won't physically embody it. So let's really learn how we can to retain and to be able to use our body memory a little bit more by going into this relaxed state as well. So that's the end of this session. I'm going to look at the comments now, because I can never see comments when I'm sharing my screen. So feel free to pop some does mental acute work with the coil. So I can't remember now, actually. I don't think it does. It's not supposed to. It does, if it doesn't have the little bubbles at the top. Let me just go back and check if it's got the bubbles at the top. So I don't know if you can see this on some of the programs. So to find out whether you can use the coil or not, there was these two little circles on each one, and then yeah, so no, it doesn't. Well, it's not supposed to work with the coil. So let me just share this quickly so everyone can understand what I'm talking about. So you see here at the top, activation, it has these little 3 bubbles. So that means you can use the coil with that. Mental Balance Acute doesn't have it because it's actually a localized program, so it's working directly with the body. It's like all of the acute programs work with cranial stimulation and not with the individualized microcurrents. So it's actually just one frequency that's going into your body. It's not actually reading your body's frequencies and then giving you what you need. It's just one specific frequency that's going into the body. And that's with all the acute programs and the localized programs on the pain and or stimulation programs, they're called on some people's. So pain psyche stimulation programs and the acute programs, anything localized is always working with the cranial stimulation. So, oh, great, Bernie. I'm so happy that you enjoyed that and you could also join us live for this session. Does anyone else have questions around this session today? I've really enjoyed doing this session, actually. I really enjoy learning about the brain. And I'm going to be doing a lot more really informative sessions like this over the next few months. So if you're not a member yet, and you're paying £8 a session, you may as well just jump in because you'll be getting a lot more for your money at only £33 a month. And you can always watch them live on the Facebook group as well. So you don't have to jump on the Zoom. You can watch them directly afterwards. And we're going to be doing like sessions around like how the importance of group healing is something that's coming up in December, which I'm currently focusing on and working on. We're going to be looking at colour therapy and how we can incorporate colour therapy into our Healy sessions as well. We're going to be looking at lots of different methods and also bringing more ritual into our practice. It's something that I really want to share, that we have to connect with our hearts and with the sacred land, and with the way that we work with frequency has to be grounded. And this is coming through for me so much at the moment. Like, I'm really passionate about how we are working with frequency, not just putting your Healy program on and doing it and hoping that it's going to work out, that it's actually really putting your heart into your practice, into your ritual practice with real intention, with real focus, because only then can the real healing process start to happen. So if you've just joined as a single session, it has been great to have you here. As always, you will receive the replay to your email. Everyone else, it will be on the e-learning suite or on the Facebook group. And if anyone has any topics that they want me to cover, you can always message me and I'll happily do a session around those things as well, because I'm always looking for creative ideas. On Thursday, I'm going to be doing the adding essential oils into your Healy practice. So I'm going to be going through some essential oils whilst you're doing different Healy programs to open up the senses so that you're able to work with Healy in a different way with different frequencies. So I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you Cheryl, and thank you Chris for those nice comments.
Abbey, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Could I ask a question, Abbey? You kept the Zoom kept breaking up and cutting out. Will the recording be completely clear?
Yes, I don't think.
You've gone again.
I think your internet connection isn't great, Joyce, because you're cutting out for me as well. So yes, it's clear for everyone else. The recording will be clear for you. Yes.
Oh, that, because I'll listen again because I missed some good bits, but it was wonderful what I got so far.
Perfect. I think your internet connection is slightly off, but like you'll receive it hopefully by today, so you can watch it tonight.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, thank you everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.